Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. I'm Dr. Amel from City Skin Clinic, and in today's video we're going to talk about 5 reasons why your lip filler treatment isn't looking so good and what you can do about it. Before we get started, if you're new to our channel, welcome. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell, and if you're a returning visitor, welcome back. It's amazing to have you back and thank you for all your support. First of all, I'm so sorry, it's been a while since I've posted. It's been super busy at the clinic and there are lots of exciting things going on that I'll share with you in due course. But getting back into doing videos because I really love this and I appreciate all the support and the questions you guys have been asking and the feedback you've been giving, so please keep it up. It really helps. So the reason I decided to do this video is actually because we often get a lot of patients who have had lip filler before somewhere else, and all of a sudden they've decided they don't really like the look of it anymore and they think, okay, let me try somewhere else, and they come to us and they're kind of not sure why it suddenly doesn't look very good, or over time it hasn't looked as good, but they really want to get back to having a good result. The other group of people are people who may have tried it once before and they're not quite happy with the outcome. So this video is really designed to kind of help you if you've had lip fillers before but you're not happy with their look, kind of give you an idea what I think it might be going on from experience, but also if you've never had lip fillers before and there are pitfalls you want to avoid to make sure you get a really good result, this is also worth a view. And it started raining, I'm really sorry about this if there's a little sound in the background. Let's stop now. Okay, so let's get into it. What are the top 5 reasons why your lip filler might not be looking so good and what you can do about it? Number 1, lumps. So lumps can happen whenever you put any filler. It doesn't necessarily mean anything bad has happened. There are a few reasons that it can happen, but ultimately what lumps can do is make the filler look asymmetric. So you might find that one bit of the lip looks different to the other. It may lose the definition, make it look a little bit lumpy or a little bit just not right, not the crispness and the sharpness that you want and the definition and the enhancement. So that's one of the most common reasons, and the good news is it's not hard to fix. So there are 2 times that lumps can happen. One is straight after you've had the lip filler, and when that happens, usually you might notice it in the first couple of weeks. As the swelling is settling, there may be lumps. Nothing to worry about, but you do need to go and see your practitioner. And the reason you need to do that is the lumps there, maybe that they haven't settled down, they're not quite in deep enough, that little bit of filler. And once the swelling goes down, that becomes more evident. The vast majority of the time, I'd say 99% of the time, your practitioner will be able to massage and smooth that down in one sitting, and then you can go away and be super happy with your outcome. Very rarely they might need to dissolve that little bit, spot dissolve that little bit of a lump. Again, this is super rare in a fresh kind of lump, but if they need to do that, again, they can do that for you, and this is why we always advise only ever hyaluronic acid fillers in the face and the neck, please, because you can you can just reverse it if needed quite quickly, and because it's much safer. And also only go to a medical practitioner, because only a medic will be able to have the hyalase and be able to dissolve it. So that's what you can do in a fresh lump. There are now lumps that can happen later. They're delayed lumps, and they usually happen in a couple of reasons. One, as the filler starts to dissolve, bits of it, maybe your immune reaction starts to react to a bit and it gets sealed off and you get a lump. That could just be a lump of filler, which is what happens most of the time, or it could be something called a granuloma, which is an inflammatory process. Again, you have to go to your practitioner for this, and what they can do in that situation, nearly always the solution is, usually it will be to dissolve it and just get rid of that lump. But like I said, this is something that tends to happen as the filler is starting to dissolve. Very rarely people might mount a reaction to the filler, and that can cause lumps. Again, this is extremely rare, but even if that happens, then usually dissolving it, they might give you some antibiotics, whatever the process is going on. But the solution is to go and see your practitioner. Don't sit on it, and especially if it's a fresh lump, because it can easily be resolved. If it's a chronic lump, that can also be resolved, but it involves going. And with the chronic lump, by the way, your practitioner may try in the first instance, if it's small, if it's superficial, to massage it down, and that might do the trick. But I'm just giving you the full host of options. So lumps, if they happen, they can affect the appearance, and this is what you need to do to kind of deal with it. It doesn't mean that you'll always get lumps. It doesn't mean, unless there was an allergic reaction or whatever, it doesn't mean that there's a problem with filler, but it is something to let your practitioner know, let them handle it. And with that in mind, when you go back to them, if you go back to them another time, they will take this into account and think, how can we reduce the risk of this happening again? So, number two, the other reason why your filler may not look good is the type of filler isn't appropriate for what you need done and for the shape of your lips, the size of your lips, the age of your lips. So there is a difference between, firstly, doing lip filler in someone who's older, who's had volume loss, where the skin may be thin, where there may be lip lines and wrinkles that also need to be taken care of. And there's also a difference between someone who's younger, who's looking for a bit of volume, and everything in between. That means, by definition, we use different types of fillers to get the job done. So in someone maybe with thinner skin, we're using a thinner type of filler, because what we want to do is keep it natural and not have something kind of protrude and feel hard and stiff. In someone younger, again, you use a soft type of filler, but something that maybe gives a little bit of volume if that's needed. So the type of filler may be the reason. So if, for example, you end up with a really thick filler in your lips, something like Voluma, and actually your lips may end up looking just hard, not very soft, not very natural, maybe not very defined. And similarly, if you end up with too soft a filler, that may end up not giving much of an outcome. And so the right type of filler for you is going to be determined by what your practitioner finds best in cases like yours. As a good example, you know, we offer a variety of different fillers, things like Juvederm Volbella and Bellatero lips. These are really nice soft fillers that give a natural looking result that we like to use. And so it's important to kind of be aware of this and ask these questions, whether you're new or old. Number three, the amount of filler. Now, having too much or too little filler can make your lips not look very good. To be honest, the biggest problem is overfilling. The lips are a very defined space, and there's only so much you can put into them. So in people where we see some of the worst outcomes is people have just had far too much filler, and especially if they have a lot of filler and they have it at the same time or very close to each other, that can end up really not giving a good result. And it's even worse if you're someone with decent lip volume and you end up with a lot of lip filler. And I think there needs to be an understanding, you know, most of our patients want more defined lips. They want them to look bigger, nice, more shapely, but they also want them to look and feel natural. And with that, you are looking at the type of filler that's suitable, but also the amount of filler, because sometimes you can even make a lip look bigger by just improving the definition of it with a little filler rather than volume. Some people don't need volume, they need the appearance of volume, so you can end up doing stuff like that. So it's really important to be aware that overfilling is a problem. Underfilling can be a problem in that if you have too little filler, it doesn't make much of an effect, it doesn't look so good, but to be honest, that's so easy to improve on, because probably need a bit more filler. It's better to have too little and then increase it gradually than too much and have to restart or suffer having lips that really don't make you feel comfortable, don't make you feel good about how you look, because that's the whole point of all of these treatments. So the next one is lip shape, and I've touched on that a little bit in the type of lip filler and the amount of lip filler, but your lip shape, your natural lip shape, is really important in terms of the outcome you're going to get. Lip fillers can enhance, they can improve the definition, they can improve the volume and projection, but ultimately there's a limit about what can be done based on what your natural lip type is. And so rather than trying to change how it looks, and sadly I've seen when this happens, people end up with really big sausagey lips that don't look very well defined. But really the solution to this is to have you know, a definition and improvement in shape and volume of your lips that works with your natural lip shape. If you naturally have a really kind of vertically long lips but they're very narrow, you can improve that by increasing the appearance of how wide they are, but there's a limit to do that, and so it's important to understand that. And it's important that the lips ultimately, you know, respect the ratios that look most attractive in the face. And the same if you have really thin but very wide lips. The solution isn't to try and pump them up as much as possible, but it's really to just gradually improve on that. And really these results do look amazing when they're done correctly, but it's about being realistic about the goal, but also having a practitioner who ultimately wants you to look better, because that's why you're having this treatment. And sometimes you might think, oh, I want it this way to look exactly like this person's shape. Your practitioner should be honest and say, actually, we can't do that, but here's what we can do to make this look really good, and then ultimately you get to decide, as always. And then number 5, this is the big one that not enough people talk about, and I've discussed it in a video before, but lip filler migration. Migration is when filler, you place it in one area and it kind of spreads out over time to the other areas. And migration is what kind of causes that duck pouty look that you sometimes see with lip filler. It's because whilst you put the lip filler in the lips and around the outline, and you might have like the most wonderful result immediately, and even maybe your first few times with lip filler, but eventually it could migrate. And if it migrates, it's going to migrate around here, and it's going to lose that definition between the skin around the lips and this beautiful crisp vermilion border which you always want. So with lip filler migration, we do get a lot of patients who've had filler elsewhere and they have migration, and really there are lots of different reasons. One could be overfilling, the other's the type of filler, it could be any of those things, but the really only good solution is to dissolve the filler. And dissolving the filler and starting from scratch, and the filler being dissolved, you know, that involves around the lips and over there, because a mistake that many people do is they think, well, I don't really want to dissolve, but I'll get some more filler. That way I can define the lips better, I can do something about it. And yes, it might improve it a little, but over time it's going to look terrible, and sometimes you just have to bite the bullet, get it all dissolved and start afresh, and you will have a really, really nice outcome if that happens. And you know, migration can happen to anyone, but it's just important to know that if this does happen, then that's really the best solution. It's just to dissolve and redo them once everything has settled, and you'll get back to having these fresh lips. If you're worried about migration, you've not had fillers before, the things you can do is ask your practitioner, what kind of things do you do to avoid migration? So I guess from my experience, the big ones are choosing the correct type of filler, injecting in certain areas, and more importantly than ever, when patients come back for top-ups of their lip filler treatment, it's to be able to look at what their lips look like, and if there's a risk that the next top-up will cause migration or it's already starting, is to say, actually, let's instead of topping up now, let's dissolve it and then we start afresh so that you can really get the results that you want. Because sometimes if you're used to your lips over time, you might not notice these things. Do things like ask your, if you've been having lip filler for a while, ask your practitioner if you can look at your old photos, or even if you have photos of yourself from before that you take yourself, have a look at them just to see how your face has progressed over time. And that's with any type of filler treatment. It's really important to do that, because once you've done that, you'll be able to see, am I on the right path, or oh, it's looking a little bit different. And also remember, your face will change over time, over the years. There'll be a loss of volume potentially, there may be a thinness of the skin, and any treatments that you've had before have to be adapted to take into account any of these changes. Also, if you've lost weight or gained weight, anything like that, pregnancy, illness, all of those things will affect potentially how your face looks, and that should be taken into account when repeating a treatment, because it may need modifications to make sure you get the best outcome. Anyway, I hope you found this video useful. It's great to be back doing videos. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any questions about lip filler, if you're worried about having any one of these things, and if you just generally have any questions about aesthetics or Botox and fillers. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already done so. And check out the links below for links to our website for more information about lip fillers. And check out the rest of our videos. Until next time, stay beautiful.